Hey everybody, Ross here, and this is Bible Study Silverstar. If this is your first time on this channel, click the first link down in the description to go back to the intro, or if you'd like to see just what's been going on recently, click the second link down in the description to go back to Numbers 1 through 10. Now, without further ado, I'm just going to jump right on in to Numbers 11, verse 1. Now when the people complained, it displeased the Lord, for the Lord heard it, and his anger was aroused. So the fire of the Lord burned among them, and consumed some in the outskirts of the camp. Then the people cried out to Moses, and when Moses prayed to the Lord, the fire was quenched. So he called the name of the place Taberah, because the fire of the Lord burned among them. Now the mixed multitude who were among them yielded to intense craving. So the children of Israel also wept again, and said, Who will give us meat to eat? We remember the fish which we ate freely in Egypt, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic. But now our whole being is dried up. There is nothing at all except this manna before our eyes. Now the manna was like coriander seed, and its color like the color of bdellium. The people went about and gathered it, ground it on millstones, or beat it in the mortar, cooked it in pans, and made cakes of it. And its taste was like the taste of pastry prepared with oil. And when the dew fell on the camp in the night, the manna fell on it. Then Moses heard the people weeping throughout their families, everyone at the door of his tent. And the anger of the Lord was greatly aroused. Moses also was displeased. So Moses said to the Lord, Why have you afflicted your servant? And why have I not found favor in your sight, that you have laid the burden of all these people on me? Did I conceive all these people? Did I beget them, that you should say to me, Carry them in your bosom, as a guardian carries a nursing child, to the land which you swore to their fathers? Where am I to get meat to give all these people? For they weep all over me, saying, Give us meat, that we may eat. I am not able to bear all these people alone, because the burden is too heavy for me. If you treat me like this, please kill me here and now, if I have found favor in your sight, and do not let me see my wretchedness. So the Lord said to Moses, Gather to me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom you know to be the elders of the people and officers over them. Bring them to the tabernacle of meeting, that they may stand there with you. Then I will come down and talk with you there. I will take of the Spirit that is upon you, and will put the same upon them. And they shall bear the burden of the people with you, that you may not bear it yourself alone. Then you shall say to the people, Consecrate yourselves for tomorrow, and you shall eat meat, for you have wept in the hearing of the Lord, saying, Who will give us meat to eat? For it was well with us in Egypt. Therefore the Lord will give you meat, and you shall eat. You shall eat not 1 day, nor 2 days, nor 5 days, nor 10 days, nor 20 days, but for a whole month, until it comes out of your nostrils and becomes loathsome to you, because you have despised the Lord who is among you, and have wept before him, saying, Why did we ever come up out of Egypt? And Moses said, The people whom I am among are 600,000 men on foot, yet you have said, I will give them meat, that they may eat for a whole month. Shall flocks and herds be slaughtered for them, to provide enough for them? Or shall all the fish of the sea be gathered together for them, to provide enough for them? And the Lord said to Moses, Has the Lord's arm been shortened? Now you shall see whether what I say will happen to you or not. So Moses went out and told the people the words of the Lord, and he gathered the 70 men of the elders of the people, and placed them around the tabernacle. Then the Lord came down in the cloud, and spoke to him, and took of the Spirit that was upon him, and placed the same upon the 70 elders. And it happened, when the Spirit rested upon them, that they prophesied, although they never did so again. But 2 men had remained in the camp. The name of one was Eldad, and the name of the other Medad. And the Spirit rested upon them. Now they were among those listed, who had not gone out to the tabernacle. Yet they prophesied in the camp. And a young man ran and told Moses and said, Eldad and Medad are prophesying in the camp. So Joshua the son of Nun, Moses' assistant, one of his choice men, answered and said, Moses, my lord, forbid them. Then Moses said to him, Are you zealous for my sake? Oh, that all the Lord's people were prophets, and that the Lord would put his Spirit upon them. And Moses returned to the camp, he and the elders of Israel. Now a wind went out from the Lord, and it brought quail from the sea and left them fluttering near the camp, about a day's journey on this side and about a day's journey on the other side, all around the camp, and about 2 cubits above the surface of the ground. And the people stayed up all that day, all that night, and all the next day, and gathered the quail. He who gathered least gathered 10 homers. And they spread them out for themselves all around the camp. But while the meat was still between their teeth, before it was chewed, the wrath of the Lord was aroused against the people, and the Lord struck the people with a very great plague. So he called the name of that place Kibroth Hattaavah, because there they buried the people who had yielded to craving. From Kibroth Hattaavah, the people moved to Hazeroth and camped at Hazeroth. Alright, this chapter signals a drastic change in Israel's attitudes toward their situation and toward God. Up to this point, Israel had primarily obeyed God and, save for a few terrible lapses in judgment, trusted him. While we still see many occasions where some within Israel still hold the right perspectives, the direction of the nation as a whole changes from being a God-fearing and God-loving nation to a nation marked by ingratitude, disobedience, and mistrust toward God. This is evident from the very outset of the chapter, where we see the people complaining about their situation and against God. God, in his just anger, started burning up the complainers around the outskirts of the camp. And if Moses hadn't intervened on their behalf, all of the complainers would have more than likely been burned up. I can't help but wonder, though, why did the people ask Moses to pray to God instead of praying to God themselves? They knew that their relationship with God wasn't where it should be because they had unresolved sin in their lives and were unwilling to surrender to God and submit to his leading for themselves. In verse 4, we see the mixed multitude yielding to intense craving for the things they enjoyed back in Egypt, and causing Israel to join them in those cravings. Now, who is this mixed multitude? They are the non-Jews who believed in God and came up with Israel out of Egypt during the Exodus. It's very likely that some of these people were Egyptians. Notice that it was this mixed multitude that started this craving, and that caused Israel to have the same cravings. Problem is, Israel was already in a highly ungrateful state of mind, and those cravings only intensified it. Not only were they complaining about their situation, they were now complaining about the daily miracle of manna that God was providing. Keep in mind, Israel counted for a total population of 2 to 3 million people. according to the Calvary Chapel of Philadelphia, to feed that many people, God provided roughly 9,000 pounds of manna for 5 days of the week, and 18,000 pounds of manna on the 6th day. At this point, God had done this for around a year and a half. That's a total of roughly 4,927,500 pounds of manna up to this point. Now, I hope it's becoming clear why God was so angry about the people's complaints. Not only had he done all of those amazing things back in Egypt before leading them out of the place through the Red Sea, he had provided for their every need and some, and had even forgiven them for turning against him multiple times. So for the people to yield to such intense craving and complaining so easily, partly because of outsiders, would quite understandably be offensive to God. The fact that the mixed multitude was able to influence Israel so much reminds me of 1 Corinthians 15:33, which says, "Do not be deceived. Evil company corrupts good habits." Not only was God highly offended by everything going on, but so was Moses. Moses was so fed up, in fact, that he asked God to kill him because he couldn't handle it on his own. I think it goes without saying here, Moses was pretty stressed out. Instead of killing Moses, though, God provided him with 70 men to help him with his work. In overwhelming situations like this, God doesn't always expect us to go at it alone. We have our brothers and sisters in Christ to lean on for guidance, help, and encouragement. To not seek out help in times of need is to reject what God has provided for our mutual benefit. Think of it this way. When you ask for help from a brother or sister in Christ, you are blessed because God has provided you with help, and the other person is blessed because they have taken part in God's work by helping you. In the end, God is glorified in the end result. Everyone wins. Now keep in mind, this situation only works like this if you're asking for help with something that moves you closer to God's will or doing God's work. If you're asking for help for something that enables a sinful lifestyle or something else rebellious to God, this obviously won't work. Now when Moses gathered the 70 men around the tabernacle, God took of the Spirit that was on Moses and gave it to the 70 men. When that happened, all of them started prophesying, and that must have been really cool to see. Thing is, only 68 men were actually at the tabernacle. 2 of them, Eldad and Medad, weren't there. We don't know why. Maybe they were sick or got too wrapped up in their honey-do lists. Either way, God had chosen them, so they got some of the same Spirit too, and started prophesying like the other 68. So naturally, somebody ran and told Moses what they were doing. Joshua, in all of his zeal, said, "Moses, my Lord, forbid them." Moses' response is really interesting. He asked Joshua if he was zealous for Moses' sake or God's. Then Moses expressed his wish that everyone could prophesy and that God would put his Spirit on everyone. While all of this was going on, God tells Moses that he'll take care of the people's complaints by providing enough meat to feed everyone for a month. He would give them so much meat, in fact, that they would absolutely hate the stuff by the end of it. Moses, in his current fit of frustration, asks if he'll need to slaughter an obscene amount of livestock to make it happen. What God does, though, is much more interesting. He sends a massive flock of quail flying 2 cubits from the ground around the whole camp of Israel. If you're wondering, a cubit is the distance between the elbow and the tip of the middle finger of an average-sized man. So imagine a flock of quail 2 cubits above the ground completely surrounding a camp holding between 2 and 3 million people, and you'll get an idea of how much of a miracle this is. It was so much quail that it took the people a day and a half without sleep to capture as many as they did. And finally, so when it was all said and done, and everyone sits down to ungratefully eat their miracle quail, God's wrath is aroused, and he hits the people with a plague that kills who knows how many of them. I'd be willing to bet, though, that the plague particularly targeted the complainers, but we don't know that for sure. In the end, they buried so many people there because of the plague that it was called Kibroth Hattaavah, which literally translates to graves of craving. And that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments, feedback, or suggestions, leave them down below in the comments. And may God make you as Ephraim and Manasseh, to be fruitful where you are, and to forget the pain of your past. And the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you all soon with Numbers 12.